Woo, hi. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. My name's Bruce, and if you've been following along, you'll know this is my classroom in the forest, and today, for kind of a bit of a change, we're having a field trip. So, you might not recognize the location, but, well, we're in the forest. Okay. And you also know that I have a kind of a format, well, a plan. So the plan is, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about three things. Well, there's three parts. We're going to talk about a thing, an item. We're going to talk about a person, and we're going to talk briefly about an idea. And you know that we've been dragging the ideas from economics, because it's actually kind of important. Okay, now, the thing, if you give me a second. When I was a kid, and to this day, and probably forever into the future, I really like music. And I really, really like it when music sounds great. And I love it when it's loud. So I like loud music a lot. When I was really younger, I used to sneak into the local disco and disco dance away, even though I was kind of a little tiny bit too young for the height of the disco craze, but that didn't matter. Anyway, so a few years ago, my wife and I were visiting an expensive stereo store. So in the expensive stereo store, they had some expensive stereo items, and well, I love it. I like that stuff. So one thing that they had was this device that would convert your audio from your phone files, from digital files, to analog files, and then play them through the computer. So the particular device that we were looking at was pretty nice. It was beautiful, and it was like, let's say $1,000. Okay. Now, in my lifetime, I have some education, and something that I know is that I've been thinking about and looking at conversions of analog to digital and digital to audio, and the math behind it, a whole bunch of stuff, for a really, really long time, for like 40, 50 years. And I know that circuit, the manner in which files are converted from digital to analog, that is not new. And if you go back to what was being used 20 years ago, is probably within 99.9% of as good as what exists today. So I thought, $1,000, that's craziness. Well, what else can you get? So I searched, and what I found was this. Okay? Let's see if it focuses. I found this, and I found this on Amazon, and it was 30 bucks. Okay? And for $30, what happens is I can use my phone, or I can use any device that has Bluetooth, and I can use my Spotify, I can use my YouTube music, my Google Music, my Autumn. Is Autumn a thing? There's another thing called, I can't even remember, but there's a bunch of different ways to get music. Subscription services cost about $30 a month, and that gives you the digital file. And some of these digital files are fabulous, or good enough for my ears, as I'm getting a little bit on in years. And then this device takes it magically through Bluetooth, converts it into a beautiful analog audio file, and I play it through my hi-fi, and holy smoke, it sounds great. And you want to talk about value, like the ratio of how much pleasure you get from how many dollars you spent. This thing, it's magic. I spent 30 bucks, and I get so much pleasure I can't even begin to tell you. And I got kind of a pretty good stereo. I got Bowers and Wilkins B&W speakers, and I got a great amplifier, and it sounds terrific. But although I must say that I'm still waiting for my wife to be listening to music and say, hey, can you turn that up? Because that's never happened. But hopefully one day it will. Okay, so that's the device. It's a digital analog converter. And now I get no sponsorship or no money. This is eSync 192 kilohertz Bluetooth DAC, Bluetooth digital analog converter. It was about 30 bucks, and I've had this for 4 years, and it works great. I Can't recommend it highly enough if you want that. Now, if you want to buy one for $1,000 or $25,000, go ahead. Right? I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying that if you're looking for a pathway to have wonderfully sounding music, this is it. It works like a charm. Okay. So that's the thing. Now, the second bit. Let's talk about this. Well, quite a while ago, I was doing one of my journeys. I like to take journeys, and I was journeying, and I was in a town called Livingston in Guatemala. And I got into Livingston by boat, and I was going to be leaving Livingston by, no kidding, an actual dugout canoe with a motor, but it was technically it was a dugout canoe. So while I'm there in the evening, I went into a bakery, a panaderia, and the gentleman was there, and the place was gorgeous. It was, in architectural terms, it was what you would call well densified. There was a lot of stuff in there, and it was whatever. And so eventually I wind up having coffee and dinner with the gentleman and his wife in their house, and I kind of looked behind him, and on the wall there was a sign, and please forgive me, I cannot recall what it said in Spanish, but I asked him about it, and I said, what does that say? He says, oh, it's kind of like my motto. And his motto was, be who you are, do what you can, and the rest of the time, mind your own business. Oh, all right. Well, I don't 100% quite agree with every sentiment that's contained within that motto, but the first bit, yeah, be who you are. I mean, we are who we are, and hopefully we try to improve ourselves daily, and we reflect back on what has occurred throughout the day or throughout the week, and interactions that we've had with other people, and maybe we could have done something better or different, or somehow made the other person feel better about themselves, whatever. But you know, we're humans and we evolve. So be who you are, do what you can. Okay, do what you can. That reminds me of when I was really young and I took lifeguard courses, and one of the things they said in lifeguard class was, when you see a need, react. So if you see someone that's in trouble, help them if you can. So you see a need, react. Do what you can. Be who you are and do what you can. Fast forward a little bit. I'm walking down the street. I see a TV news crew. I see them kind of following and talking to a guy, and I recognize him. He's a local politician. So anyway, so I wanted to get my 2 cents in there because there's an election going on and stuff. So I went over to him and I said, blah, 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 what are you talking about? And so this guy, his name was Dennis Mills, and you can Google him. And he was talking about, for some reason here in Canada, he was talking about the Clarity Act, which is kind of obscure. And I was like, what are you doing, you know, stopping people in the street to talk about that? Because it wasn't necessarily at the forefront of everyone's mind in election season. Anyway, okay, fast forward, there's an election. Mr. Mills was not elected. He was not re-elected. There you go. So some time goes by, he gets a job. Okay, he's working for a guy. Now, fast forward a little bit more. Now I'm talking about kind of a person. Fast forward a little bit more. It's 2005 and Hurricane Katrina. So Hurricane Katrina happens. Holy smoke, it's a big deal. So somebody was looking at the television and saw the genuine need in New Orleans and saw the genuine strife that people were having. So this person is the guy who had hired Dennis Mills and given him a job after he was not elected anymore to be the political representative. He phoned him up and he said, Dennis, I gave you a job. I told you that later on we'd figure out what you do. So this is what I want you to do, Dennis. I want you to get a 747 airplane and fly to New Orleans. And anybody that wants to get on that plane and leave, please take them. And if you need 2 planes, get 2 planes. And if you need 3 planes, get 3 planes. So this guy, for real, Dennis Mills gets a plane, goes to New Orleans, loads it up with people that were experiencing hardship and were willing to get on the plane, flies them where? Flies them to Miami, where the gentleman that I'm really talking about, I'll tell you who it is in a second, was 90% or 95% complete on building a racetrack with hotels and accommodation for the racetrack workers and all that stuff. And he had said to this guy, to Dennis Mills, he said, okay, we have these assets and we can do this. So please take those people, take them to Miami, get them whatever they need, make sure they're comfortable, please. Okay, for real, do this. So these people that were willing and needed to go, leave New Orleans, they went to Miami. You can Google it up, you can find some details yourself, but get to Miami, they were greeted by people that this guy knew. The person I'm talking about is Frank Stronach, okay? Frank Stronach, Magna. Frank Stronach, his friends, met them at the airport, took them shopping because they had nothing, or relatively nothing. I mean, you need things. And they took them there. He was who he was, he did what he could, and he tried to help people, and that's it. Now, that's kind of the short-term version of the story. The longer-term version is, but then they went back to Louisiana, and they built, with these people and other people, they built a town, and the town became known as Canada Town. You can Google that up. And anyway, maybe it didn't work out as well in the long run as Mr. Stronach would have hoped for, but there you are. He had the capacity to help, he had the desire to help, and so he did what he could. Okay, so if you have, now you don't have to be like that and have a 747 jet and all that stuff, but excuse me, but if you have the opportunity to help someone that needs help, help them. Do what you can. Be who you are. That's it. Okay. The third part of these little segments is talking about an idea. Okay. So the idea, if you're going back, we talked about this idea of more. People always want and need more. It's expanding. Then we move through that, talk about the entities in society, talk about the people, the businesses, the governments, all that. And then the production possibility curve, which is a very, very important thing. But there's kind of a more timely issue now. It's all timely, but let's we're on a field trip, so we'll change course a little tiny bit. We're going to talk about the economic idea of substitution. Substitution, okay. So you're making a sandwich, and you like to put peanut butter and jelly on your sandwich. Okay, it's a tasty sandwich. You look through your cupboard and you see you have no peanut butter, but lo and behold, you have butter. So you put on some butter and you put on some jelly, and you have that for your snack or your lunch or your breakfast or whatever it is, and you discover that it's still pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. That's a substitution. And as supply and demand and price, everything changes, then we search for substitutes. Having a suite of substitutes, things that instead of doing this or purchasing this or using this, you can use that other thing over there. As that is a virtuous idea. It's good. And today, what we're experiencing is really it's a sudden and dramatic increase in the price of gasoline. Okay? Sudden and dramatic increase in the price of diesel fuel. So it's gone up, let's just say round numbers, 100% over the past year. The conditions that caused the price increase, we can talk about it for a long time, and people will, and it's probably not finished going up. Okay? But what is happening is that increase in price is driving people towards a substitute, and the substitute is electricity. And later on, I'm going to have a few videos probably talking about electricity, and if you're not sure if you should be converting to electricity or not, the answer is yes. If you're burning anything, if you're burning wood, if you're burning natural gas, if you're burning propane, you're burning diesel fuel, you're burning bunker C fuel, you're burning whatever it is you happen to be burning, electricity. Just go there. It's great. Okay. There. So, but it's an actual economic concept that occurs, that's discussed in in the books this idea of substitutes. And economists will have charts and graphs and figures and arrows and lines and discussion points and all that stuff. But basically, as a human, because we know what people want, you want to be happy. You want to maximize your utility, your happiness, your joy that occurs in every day. And at a certain point, you know, you might want to, electricity is good, and moving your life in an electrical direction, that's good. And right now, even the availability of electric cars electric cars. Let's talk about electric cars. It takes a long time to get one. And the reason why is because, holy smoke, everybody wants one. It's building because they're, well, first of all, because they're fantastic. And second of all, because this idea, the price of gasoline is forcing this more and more people to look at the substitution. And it's more and more people at the margin. Okay, the marginal propensity to make a choice of electric is higher. So electricity is good. I've said that a few times. This idea of substitution is a thing that exists in economics textbooks, and it's worth thinking about. But when you make your choices in life, most people aren't thinking, oh geez, get out the book. What does the economics textbook says? Nobody does that. You just do what you're going to do because you're trying to maximize your happiness, your joy, your utility for you and your family. All right? So now, I'm in the forest on a field trip, stopped in this kind of a clearing. There's some trees, so it's kind of keeping the rain off. There you are. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Or I hope it's kind of somewhat entertaining. And remember, be who you are, do what you can. If you have the opportunity to help somebody, help them. This thing about minding your own business, that part I don't necessarily agree with, and you can imagine all sorts of scenarios where it's good to intervene in business that's not necessarily immediately your business. Okay, but that's it. My name's Bruce. Thank you very much. Goodbye.